What's so cool about that is that I love words like lunatic, because I think lunatic describes a lot of the behavior of people these days, whether you're just talking about life behavior or business behavior, social behavior, political behavior, market behavior. Lunatic is a good word. So as I'm prepping for this podcast, and I knew this is somewhat where I want it to go, because ultimately I want to talk about trend following performance today. I want to talk about a specific white paper called A Century of Evidence on Trend Following Investing that tracks trend following performance back to 1903. Wow, there's some viability there, apparently. But anyways, on the heels of Roger Waters explaining how he composed his brilliant song Brain Damage, talking about he was influenced, inspired by watching these beautiful plats of grass that you were not allowed to walk on. And so literally minutes before I was doing this podcast, I get emailed a video, and I just finished watching it, from Seth Godin. So I'm watching, it's about a 20-minute video, Seth Godin talking about, I think the title was called Stop Stealing Dreams, about education. I took a few notes really quick, and this will be somewhat my version and somewhat Seth's version. So as you think about Roger Waters, as you think about his motivation for composing this brilliant song, Brain Damage, Seth walks on stage and he immediately tells the audience, "Good morning, boys and girls." You know, the same kind of nonsense you heard when you were a kid in school as you sat there in the desk. And Godin goes on to explain the number one purpose of school. And I don't think this has changed yet. Seth's ahead of the curve. The number one purpose is obedience. Do as you're told. We are training you to be a robot. So long before the brothers dreamed up the Matrix script, where you're cogs in a wheel, biological cogs in a wheel, Godin's pointing out that school is all about the same thing. Standardized test. Are you serious? I mean, come on. I know there's people out of my audience that are sitting around right now, and you probably still go to cocktail parties, and you probably still at 40-something or 30-something, you probably have friends and associations where you still talk about what you got on your SAT. I'm serious. I bet you do. Come on, don't lie to me. I know you're out there. I know you're out there, and you're weird. You're weird. You've never taken a punch. You've never hit a home run. You've never done anything. You've just bragged about your damn SAT score since you were a little kid. I have compassion for you, though. It's not your fault. At some point in time, you didn't realize that you were put into the middle of a sham, a scam, that you were being trained to be a factory worker. That's all it is. Look, the Industrial Revolution was fantastic, right? Production efficiency, we could all buy goodies, etc., etc. But it was an indoctrination. It was an indoctrination. You're nothing more than a cog in a wheel. Manufacturing jobs. Seriously, can you imagine? Politicians come on the TV and they tell you they want to preserve manufacturing jobs. This means they want to put you into a repetitive motion environment all day long for 12 hours where you sit there like I don't even know what you are, a brain damaged fool. These poor folks that make these iPads and iPhones that we all so love. Have you read the stories about how their cartilage in their fingers disintegrates from making these little devices for $1 an hour? Now they want to get ahead, okay? And maybe that's the only choice, and I surely don't knock it. But my God, manufacturing jobs? Are you serious? Who in their right mind wants a manufacturing job? No, what you want is art. You want art. I mean, that's the choice, isn't it? I mean, these systems, these manufacturing jobs, these government jobs, they're interchangeable parts, my friends. You can be removed from the system and replaced with another one. You are not important. Roger Waters, once again, brilliant. The Wall was all about the nonsensical nature of an interchangeable part, and that nobody stands for anything. Nobody is about the art. Everyone is about following the rules. Look at my world. Following rules? There'd be no trend following education if I followed rules. There'd be nothing. There's 4 books on trend following. I wrote them because I guess I'm slightly off to the center, slightly not all there. Very passionate about getting this message out because you know why? The system that you're up against, this is the fidelity system. This is the Johnson family, right? They've just got billions upon billions of dollars by having your money sit in their accounts, and they just kind of churn it a little bit. And maybe if the S&P goes up, they'll give you 3 percentage points less than the S&P. And they've made billions off you. Once again, it's the factory worker mentality. Take what you've been given. This is all you deserve. You get no more. This is it. Like I said, I'm paraphrasing this. I've kind of gone off the side here on Godin's presentation, but these factories that he was talking about, the reason school, as it's currently organized, about obedience. Why was it created that way? Factories wanted obedience, and it was all about creating stuff. So the factories created stuff, which in turn trained us to buy stuff. Has anybody yet realized that you're on a freaking treadmill? The old Smashing Pumpkins song, what is it? The hamster in the wheel, the gerbil in the wheel, whatever it is. So what are we left with? This schooling situation. First you have Roger Waters talking about just a simple analysis of the grass to be outside the system. And he's saying the lunatics all walk on the path, right? And Godin is questioning the entire system from the ground up. It's all driven about obedience, 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 obedience. How do you have a nice life if obedience is what guides you? How does it manifest itself? Textbooks. Buy a textbook. Follow the rules in the textbook. Don't think for yourself. Just follow the rules. School's a factory, people. Why do you think so many people have a hard time breaking out to a new way of thinking on making money? They have been indoctrinated into a buy and hold, mutual fund, panacea, scam, ruse, Ponzi scheme. Frankly, alien anal probe is what it really is. Okay? It's insanity. So Godin goes on in his presentation to kind of bring out a bunch of blocks, and he throws a bunch of blocks on the stage. And he says, with all these blocks, you have a letter on it. You can have a million different possibilities. There's no right answer. And the average adult today just goes crazy because there's no right answer. They can't deal with the uncertainty, the inability to control the situation. The average adult just breaks down and says, Mr. Fidelity, here's my money. I'll believe whatever you've told me. You're kind of like Willy Wonka in the chocolate factory. Let's go. You're a superstar. Here, just manage my money. Do something with it. I'll die soon. Life will be over. I'll pass it along my heirs. And then, Uncle Sam will take 50% from whatever kind of death tax. Goes on and on and on. Look, school is about memorization. That's what it's about. Are you going to collect data or connect data? I'm stealing that line from Godin. Are you going to collect data or connect data? And he goes on to kind of conclude. He says, fitting in gets you nowhere. Fitting in gets you nowhere. Standing out gets you everywhere. And so as I look at my morning podcast and I think about what I wanted to talk about, all of that is a lead up to a fantastic white paper that was forwarded to me in the last 48 hours called A Century of Evidence on Trend Following Investing. Goes on to say, we study the performance of trend following investing across global markets since 1903, extending the existing evidence by more than 80 years. We find that trend following has delivered strong positive returns and realized a low correlation to traditional asset classes each decade for more than a century. We analyze trend following returns through various economic environments and highlights the diversification benefits the strategy has historically provided in equity bear markets. 1903. Do you realize right now nobody else out there on the planet is bothering to do a podcast that is questioning the entire educational system, telling you that the mutual fund system is a Ponzi scheme designed to rip you off and steal all of your money, and giving you an alternative? An alternative that has got a absolute boatload, motherload of performance that if you don't know about, I really have to start to question. I know sometimes I talk about masochism, but I really think that there are some people out there that enjoy cutting themselves. They enjoy the feeling of cutting themselves and watching themselves bleed. They enjoy it. It's exciting to them. Let's hurt ourselves. Let's bleed on the floor. And then we can all sit around, hold hands, sing Kumbaya, and never get anywhere. Once again, Roger Waters, correctly analyzing the walking on the grass. Don't you see the connection with trend following and the mutual fund? Trend following is all about standing in the middle of the grass and tearing it up. You don't learn to be a trend following trader in school. It doesn't happen. It doesn't exist. There is no school for trend following trading. Well, actually, that might be slightly untrue. I'll train you. I'll teach you. You need help? I'll show you. That's what I do. I'm going to read some highlights from this trend following investing report. This is fantastic. White paper. As an investment style, trend following has existed for a very long time. Some 200 years ago, the classical economist David Ricardo's imperative to cut short your losses and let your profits run on suggests an attention to trends. A century later, the legendary trader Jesse Livermore stated explicitly that the big money was not made due to the individual fluctuations, but in sizing up the entire market and its trend. This paper seeks to establish whether the strong performance of trend following is a statistical fluke of the last few decades or more of a robust phenomena that exists over a wide range of economic conditions. Using historical data from a number of sources, we construct a time series momentum strategy all the way back to 1903 and find that the strategy has been consistently profitable the past 110 years. 110 years. Who on CNBC has taught Bloomberg, CBS Market Watch, I don't care, Yahoo Finance, who in blazes has talked about the style of trading that I've read in 4 books about, that I've made a film about, that I've dedicated my life to, it's been successful for 110 years. The data to back that statement up exist. White paper on my website right now. Download it. Continuing. I'll read a little bit more of this. It's just fantastic stuff. The performance has been remarkably consistent over an extensive time horizon that includes the Great Depression, multiple recessions and expansions, multiple wars, stagflation, the global financial crisis, and periods of rising and falling interest rates. Skeptics argue that it has benefited mainly from the long secular decline in interest rates. While the strategy did perform well over the last 30 years, the best performing decade for the strategy occurred between 73 and 82. Our long-term out-of-sample evidence suggests that it is unlikely that such price trends are a product of statistical randomness or data mining. Indeed, the first 8 decades of data is out-of-sample evidence relative to the literature, and the performance is strong in each of these decades. Trends appear to be pervasive characteristics of speculative financial markets over the long term. Trend following strategies perform well only if price trends often more than not. A large body of research has shown that price trends exist in part due to long-standing behavioral biases exhibited by investors, such as anchoring and herding, as well as the trading activity of non-profit-seeking participants, such as central banks and corporate hedging programs. Once again, it's making the case. You're hearing it. It's the zero-sum nature. This is it. Look, hold on. I got to find the back piece of this. There's a back piece. Well, you can see it in the report, but it talks about, I think it's like 59 markets that they've looked at. We're talking everything: currencies, agriculturals, interest rates, stocks. 1903. What was going on in 1903? It was like their first version of a car. I mean, the Fed did not even exist in 1903. I actually went back, and I've mentioned this before, I went back and looked at old economists back to the late 1800s to look at price data. Went to the National Agricultural Research Library in Beltsville, Maryland, and got inside the stacks and saw these old, just to look at price trends. Inspired by other trend following traders who had done the same thing. I know David Harding's shop has done this. I know John Henry's shop did this at one point in time. To go back in time and look at the price data and say, does this work? Now, this firm that did this white paper that I'm mentioning is called AQR. They've done the same thing. So As I sum up, I want you to really think about Roger Waters, his story of the grass, looking at the grass that you couldn't touch. I want you to think about what Seth Godin is saying in terms of education. And I want you to think about the trend following performance, something that I'm putting on the plate today, massive performance back to 1903, that you cannot find in a college classroom, period. Not a high school classroom, not a college classroom, not an MBA program, not a PhD program. It does not exist. Why? Why doesn't it exist? Why is this fantastic performance that has a chance to change your life, that gives you the opportunity to make more than your neighbor, that gives you the opportunity to make more money than those people that refuse to walk on the grass, that gives you more money than the people that Seth Godin talks about, who frankly are byproducts of an educational system designed to create factory workers, designed to create biological life slaves that just sit in a vat of stew of their own whatever. And then when it's all over, you're gone. Unless you're reincarnated, which I guess could be the possibility, but if you don't reach enlightenment, I don't think you get to choose the physical form that you get to come back in, if I'm not mistaken. Isn't that right? You have to reach enlightenment to actually choose what you can come back as. So if you go through life connected to the matrix, if you never walk on the grass, if you never question the educational system, if you never find an investment strategy that beats the buy and hold slave-like process that you're currently affixed to, how do you ever get enlightenment? You're just going to come back as a rock, or a stick, or a piece of dirt. This is it. You think I'm completely crazy. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe this is the case. If you don't reach enlightenment in this lifetime, you don't get to choose how you come back. I see a time when those awake will understand how to make money in up, down, and surprise markets. Whether new trader or experienced, college student or financial advisor, protecting against a crash or just trying to make a lot of money, trend following offers everyone an answer in uncertain times. To get started immediately, send me an email, michael@covel.com. I will send you the right trend following steps to take along with my free video. But if you want to buy and hold, trust the government and trust Wall Street, this is absolutely not for you.